Hi, this is part 8 of the video series that I've been doing after the accident, the aftermath, if you will. As I've stated in a couple of previous videos, I actually went to a Facebook group that I like to frequent. It's for SUV, RV, SUV, car living, whatever. I can't remember the exact name. I still have not looked that up. But anyway, it's like car camping, SUV living for women only. Anyway, I posted, what happened, the accident and all that on there. And I got many. I got like several hundred, likes and a lot of responses. Anyway, one of the main things that I did see, well, there was a couple of common themes, but one of the themes that I encountered was, excuse me, it's been a very hectic week, and I slept pretty good last night, but I'm still tired. Anyway, one of the common themes that I encountered was, I guess, planning, because I did put that out there, because, I did want to know how does other people handle it if, they have a major breakdown or a major accident and their vehicle is totaled, how, and you're living in your vehicle, or you're traveling long distance in your vehicle, or you're in your vehicle for, car camping, whatever. How do you handle that? If you're a long way from home, even if you're a shorter distance from home, how do you handle it? Well, anyway, one of the common themes that I encountered was, okay, if you, don't have a vehicle, then, which of course, if you're living in your vehicle and it's totaled, obviously you're not going to have a vehicle. Anyway, what I encountered, or a lot of the responses were, okay, well, if you don't have a vehicle or you can't get a vehicle right now, then okay, you'll have to start all over, basically start all over again, start saving your money till you have enough money for a vehicle. Now, if you have a home, apartment, home, whatever, that may not be so as difficult. Of course, with today's society, and having to travel for probably more than a mile or two for work, not having a vehicle is going to be very, very difficult, because, a lot of areas are very conducive to riding bicycles. Others are not. I know, most areas I've encountered in North Carolina, they are not conducive to riding a bicycle. In fact, I haven't really encountered any place that's conducive to it, except for places like Florida, Michigan. Of course, Michigan isn't conducive to it in the wintertime. It's too cold, but summertime it is. Anyway, if you're, living in your vehicle, I'm not too sure that anyone's gonna, as a woman, I'm not sure that any woman, if she can get out of it, is gonna, go pitch a tent in the woods. I suppose it's doable. If she were with a male companion, I suppose it's doable. But pitching a tent in the woods and then trying to work and save money up to get another car, anyway. So, anyway, that's kind of the one I wanted to address, because the time to start saving for another vehicle is not when something major happens. The time to start saving for the vehicle is long before something major happens. You want to have the money saved up to be able to get a decent vehicle many months, maybe years prior to it happening. That's the whole purpose. That's what I want to, address. Is if you're living in your vehicle, or even if you're not living in your vehicle, even if you're got a home, got a house, got an apartment, you don't want to, you don't want to start, you don't want to wait until something major happens, like a major breakdown or a major car accident, like in my case, and then say, oh, okay, I'm not sure I have enough. Oh, I don't have enough. Well, I'm going to start, oh, okay, I'll just ride my bicycle to work or walk to work, What if your work's 10 miles away? What if your work's 20 miles away? I mean, walking is not going to be feasible. If it's 10 miles away, you might be able to ride a bicycle, but what if it's not conducive? What if riding a bicycle, what if, in the area I live in, they'll mow you down, they'll hit you. I know numerous bicyclists that have been hit. Cars they don't see them, or they see them, they don't slow down, they hit them. Anyway, so, that's not smart. It's not. It's smart. I mean, if you live in an area where bicycling is bicycle, trails or, bicycle lanes are popular, then okay. But, and you want to be a little greener and you want to, eliminate not eliminate, but, reduce your carbon footprint, whatever, and you want to ride a bicycle, you want to walk, that's great. But, I don't think it's smart to rely on a bicycle or walking. That's absolutely not smart. Whether you live in your car or not, it's just not smart. So, that's the thing that came up. I was like, okay, no. Planning, I mean, no one wants to plan for something major to happen, like a bad car accident or a major breakdown. No one wants to plan for that. No one wants to think about it, but it's smart and it's wise to plan for it. That's the smartest and wisest thing to do, is to plan for it. I mean, no one wants to think about it, but it's the smartest thing you can do, is to plan. And planning comes months, years before the actual incident takes place. And you can be in a car accident or have a major breakdown at any time. I know one woman on the group said that, this was maybe, I don't know, a few years back. Her truck engine blew up and she was, I guess, basically in her car. She wasn't living in it, I don't believe but she was on the road a lot. She wasn't full timing, but she did travel a lot. Anyway, she said she was 4 days into her cross country trip and her truck engine blew up. She had it towed home. Thought maybe it was salvageable. It wasn't. And then she spent the next 2 years working and saving money to get another vehicle. For her, she was fortunate. She said she only lived 1.5 miles from her workplace, and she was able to ride a bicycle. And that's what she did. She rode a bicycle until she saved up enough money for a down payment and was able to, purchase something. And again, that's something else. If you've got good credit, if you've got excellent credit and you don't have a problem getting financing, then saving up for just a down payment is probably, okay. But again, if your credit is not the greatest and there's a major breakdown or an accident on the road, you're going to have a harder time getting financing. You're going to have a hard time. And if you break down on the road, you're at the mercy of the dealerships. And I know from personal experience what being at the mercy of the dealership looks like. In my case, it was a 5-year-old Chevy Impala that they wanted way too much. I won't say they wanted way too much, but probably more. But anyway, maybe it was standard for that area. I don't know. It was kind of expensive in the area that I was in. I walked out. I did get a loan, but my credit was pretty crappy. I did manage to get a loan, but I walked off that lot upside down in the loan. 2 years later, the Impala's transmission started to fail at 72,000 miles, and the coolant was leaking. It had issues, and I still owed. By the time I added it up at one point, I think I would have been into that vehicle for like a 5-year-old vehicle for like $30,000. That's not smart. I mean, that really is not smart. So, I mean, my recommendation is if you've got the ability to save enough money to pay cash for a vehicle, that is my recommendation. I know that no one really wants to buy an older vehicle with higher miles either, because higher miles and age and higher miles usually mean that it's not going to be long until something has to be done, repairs, and that's true, it can, but, it's hit or miss, And of course, no one wants to buy an older vehicle and end up with something failing or have a major failure and have to turn around and buy something else. No one wants to do that either. Not that there's no guarantees. You don't know if that's going to happen. There simply are no guarantees, period. Just like with my accident, luckily I did walk away. I am still in pain, and anyway, I'll discuss that a little bit toward the end of this video. Anyway, as far as planning, you want to start your planning. You want to start your planning today. If you haven't started planning and you aren't saving any money, then you need to start saving today. If you can only save $1 a day, $1 a day for 30 days, and do that every single day for the next year. But, I mean, obviously you want to try to save more than $30 a month. I pointed out in another video that you really want to shoot for about $400 a month. $400 to $500 a month is what you want to shoot for. And that's a good figure. And I say that figure because not only is that figure going to go toward the purchase of another vehicle, that figure will also go towards, car repairs. And in fact, I have an account that I label just car repairs, and car repairs also goes toward my car fund. So the car fund also, is, if I have a breakdown or an accident, I can purchase something else. And what I'm looking at right now, I am a little out of because I did a lot of repairs to a previous car, a Ford Taurus that I had. Not an excessive amount, but I did do repairs, and repairs are expensive, and it did set me back quite a bit, or set me back some. So I know the amount that I have to, purchase and pay cash. I actually need, I actually could probably I can actually go a little bit more. I don't want to if I can help it, but anyway, so right now that a good figure, 7,000. I could probably go a little bit more, but anyway, you really want to save. I save $500 a month, and that's about how much I save every month. I save $500. As a general rule, I save anywhere from $400 to $700 a month, and I put it in my car fund or car repairs, whatever you want to call it, and then hope that it doesn't get set back too much with too many car repairs. And that's something else. If you do get a vehicle and, there has to be a cutoff point where you go, okay, I'm just putting in too many repairs. It's setting me back too much. I'm basically whatever I'm saving is going out. I'm not able to save anything. If you get to that point where you're not really able to save because you're doing too many repairs, then it's time to look around at buying something else, trading it. Usually you'll come out better selling it outright, but not always. My experience with that, at least in the area that I'm in, is most people expect something pretty much for nothing. They expect it cheap and practically nothing. And, and they don't want to get, in fact, my pickup truck, and this has been a few years back, the pickup truck was worth at least, I think Kelley Blue Book on the truck, and the truck is in good condition. The Kelley Blue Book on the truck was like, I think, $4,000 maybe, or something like that. It might have been a little bit less, maybe $3,500. I think it was around $4,000. It might have been more. I think the Kelley Blue Book on it right now is $3,000. Anyway, this is a few years back, and it was around $4,500, or $4,000 at least. Anyways, and my ex-husband got to talking to somebody, and she said, well, I want to buy the truck. My ex-husband was like, oh, and he didn't really want to sell it, but he was like, well, how much would you give me? $500. My ex-husband was like, $500? Is that a joke? I mean, the truck is listed at 4,000 Kelley, and it's in good condition. I mean, $500? I mean, I don't think so. Anyways, and I have tried to put cars out for sale before, and it never worked. They wouldn't give me any more. They wouldn't even give me, some of them didn't even want to give me as much as what a dealership would give me. And then in the area that I'm in, people try to con you into taking a payment every week or payment every month. That's ridiculous. I ran into a lot of that and then couldn't sell it. Oh, I don't have the money, because they figure, they'll pay one payment or two and then go, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have it, make an excuse. So I found, for me, I just found it was easier to get rid of the vehicle at a dealership. You know, I wasn't going to get any more. I mean, it depends on the area you're in. In my area, you're going to get just as much trading it as you are going to selling it. And there is no, oh, we'll make you a payment every week. Or try to con you into some of that crap. Anyway, that's those classic people that think, you know, want something for nothing, you know, and it probably should be walking or riding a bicycle and saving their money. But of course, I you know, some of the areas I've been in also have high drug use. Anyway, that's a whole other issue, and I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, as far as living in your vehicle, traveling a lot, or even just not, even if you work, if you have a house and you don't travel, the amount that you should shoot for is about $500 a month. That's a good figure, you know, and within a couple of years, 2-3 years, if you're not set back with too many car repairs, you'll have enough for a nice down payment or a fairly decent used car. Now, $5,000 on a used car, you can find them. You can definitely find them. They're not as easy to find. You're going to have to look harder, go out farther, to find what you're looking for. But again, you can still find halfway decent cars in the 5,000 range. I found I think it was a Buick LeSabre, and I think 2004, 2005, they're only asking, I think, $6,000 for it, and I think it's got around 100,000. So, you know, that's good mileage. It's not a bad age, and it is good mileage. Some of the others I found, like Toyotas, I haven't found any that's, you know. Now, I take that back. I did find a Toyota Camry a few months back. It did have 162,000. They wanted, it was a 2005, I believe, or 2006, and they wanted 6,000, I think, for it. 6,000. It did have 162,000. Again, that's not a bad deal. You know, that was well under the 175,000 mark or 200 mark. So again, not bad. And I have found others. I think I found I looked at a Ford Escape. I personally don't want higher mileage, but I think the Ford Escape was a 20, I don't remember. It was maybe 10 years old or 12. I don't remember. And 2008, I think. And I think it had 137,000. It was around 6,000. So, you know, not bad. And a few months back, I also found a 2004 Chevy Impala. I mean, not Chevy Impala, Chevy Malibu, with 135,000 for $4,000. Now that was a good deal. That was a really good deal. And I looked at the car. It was a good, clean car. I've never really liked Malibu that much, or at least the older Malibus, so that's why I rejected it. But anyway, I don't want to get too far off on what I've been doing. Anyway, saving, if you have not started saving starts today. You have to make a plan, and you have to, you know, decide how much you want to save a month and how much you can save. I mean, because you may not be able to save $500. If you can't save $500, okay. You know, and I've said this before in another video, if $100 is all you can save, then shoot for that $100 a month. You know, if $100 is all you can save, then just keep saving, save that $100 every month. If you can save more, if you can save $125 for that month, if you can save $110, $125, even $150 for that month, or maybe even more, consider that a good month. Consider that a good month. But again, you want to shoot for $100 every month. If that is what you can save after you've paid all your bills and done everything you need to do and had a little spending money, if 100 is what you can do, then do 100. If you can do 500, shoot for that. Whatever your number is, it might be 100, it might be 250, it might be 5, it might be more. But whatever you can shoot for, make a plan to save that amount of money and do your best to save it every month. Now, there will be times when you won't be able to save it. Something will come up and you just aren't going to save anything. You know, if you get by and save $20 for that, there have been months that's happened to me. You know, where, you know, for me, since I shoot for about 500, there's been a few months when 100 was all I could save, and I was very displeased, very dissatisfied with that number. But I would do my very best to make it up the next month. And by make it up, I mean, you know, anything that I could do without, I did without. if you drink latte every day and you realize that, you can do without the latte, then do without it. If you buy a latte five times a week, at $5 a piece, that's $25 a week. That's $100 right there. Even if you only do it one time a week, that's $20. You just have to start looking at wherever you can save, and save every place you can save. Even if it only gives you an extra $10 a month or an extra $20 a month. And I know way back there, I was having a really hard time, and I was having a really hard time saving. But one of my vices is pop. I drink pop every day, but I only drink about one. So one, maybe two, one usually. And there were times when, and that was pre-COVID, when I could just go into McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever and just, fill my water bottle up. And, I did a lot of that. I made a decision that I did not want. I wanted to save that money. I needed to save that money. And granted, it wasn't a lot. It was only $20, $30, maybe $20 for the month, maybe $30 for the month. But I did that for a few months, and, and saved in other areas too, and it adds up. It definitely adds up. Way back, I used to eat Subway a lot, and I would go in Subway every day. And every day I would buy a sandwich, and every day I would buy their chips and get their combo. And one day I realized, I don't have to do this. I'll save money by just buying the sandwich. I could buy the potato chips for less than $1 a bag at Walmart. So that's what I started doing. I would buy my chips for less than $1 at Walmart, and, and I didn't eat too many, or I tried not to eat too many, because, again, they're not good for me. I don't want to gobble up a whole bag, because, that's not helping me. It's not helping me health-wise. It's not helping me money-wise. Drinking the water was definitely a benefit, a health benefit, as well as a money-saving benefit. And that's what I started doing. I cut out the pop. I cut out the, potato chips when I bought my sandwich. And then eventually I got tired of doing Subway, and I started doing other, started making my own sandwiches, buy my own tuna pouches and making my own sandwiches. Now I don't eat bread anymore to speak of, so I don't really do that. I just eat some tuna with a little bit of crackers. And I do that every day, but, certainly not. I do eat out some, but I kind of divide it up, I eat my fresh fruit, my fresh vegetables, which, by the way, no matter what anyone tells you, it is cheaper. Going in Walmart, Publix, or a grocery store and buying fresh fruit and vegetables is way cheaper than buying fast food. A lot of people say, oh, but fast food's cheaper. No, it's not. Now, of course, that depends on, if you're buying for a whole family, but, if you're living, most people in their vehicle, at least me, I'm just one person, and a lot of people out there, it's just one person. So, you're only planning for one person. So, there are ways to save, and whatever you can do to save money, you need to do it. If, like I said, if it's saving some of your coffee money or latte money, then do so. If you can afford your lattes and still save $500 a month, great, good for you. Or more, then good for you. You're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game if you can do that. If you can save anywhere from $500 to $800 a month and still drink your latte and buy whatever you want, then you're way ahead of the game. But for the most people, the average person, to shoot for $500 to $700 a month, you're probably going to want to, make a few changes, make a few changes in how you're eating, make a few changes in, what you're buying, that kind of thing. Anyway, but again, like I said, 500 is a good number. I don't think that's too steep. I think that's a pretty good number to be able to live on. Not live on. What am I saying? Save every month. And if you can do better at $700 a month, then great. $800, my average is about $500. That's what I save after I pay out what I have to pay. The other thing is a budget. Now in my case, I get paid, well, as a general rule, I get paid monthly. So I do, whatever comes in, I'm kind of ahead of the game. Whatever comes in from the previous, not ahead of the game, but whatever comes in from the previous month is what I work with for the next month. And I make my budget. Let me give you an example. Let's say you bring in $2,500 a month with earnings and job and income and whatever, extra money, whatever, what have you. What I do is shoot below that. And this is good. Shoot below if you have 2,500, don't look at the entire 2,500 as what you're using to spend. Now, of course, there's going to be, in my case, there's two different boxes or two different categories. One category is the stuff that you have to pay. There's no getting around that. You got to pay your car insurance. You got to pay your car insurance, your health insurance if you have it, your AAA. If you have a house, you got to pay the utilities. You have to, pay your phone bill. There's a number of bills that have to be paid. Can't get out of that. You definitely have to pay your bills, and there's no getting out of that. In my case, I have a cell phone bill every month. I got to pay that. I have, I do have an extra power bill at the house that my ex-husband and I, where my ex-husband lives, where, we share. Now I'm getting him to pay that as his share. That's been difficult. So anyway, I got my cell phone bill. I got a power bill. I have my car insurance. I have homeowner's insurance. I have insurance. I have rent that I have to pay for the boat I live on. These are things I have to pay. I can't get out of paying those. So those things, the money for that's already earmarked. Whatever money you make, your bills are already earmarked. Now, what's left is my budget. My budget is what I eat, what I put into, gas money I put in my vehicle, clothes if I want it, extras, eating out. That's all my extra stuff. And the extra stuff is where you have to concentrate on saving. You can't save money on your utility bill. You can't call them up and say, I'm only going to pay you $100 this month if you owe $150. That won't work. They'll cut your power off. You can't tell your landlord you're only going to pay $500 this month. You owe $1,000, but you're only going to pay $500 or whatever number you want to pay him. That won't work. You'll be evicted. So, you can't do that. A car insurance, again, same thing. You can't tell them what, they tell you. These are all, all your bills and all your utilities and all that stuff. Your landlord, that's all. You're being told what you're going to pay. You have to pay it. If you don't pay it, you're going to end up either without power, without car insurance, without health insurance, or you're going to be evicted and, and living in your vehicle where you want, or in the woods where you want to or not. So, you can't negotiate that. There's no negotiating. So the part that you negotiate is the part that your budget, your food, your gas, all the others, that stuff. That's what you're going to negotiate. Now, the other thing that's not non-negotiable, of course, is car repairs. If you have to do repairs to your car or truck or van or SUV or RV, whatever, again, that's not negotiable. If you want to drive it, you're going to have to fix it. So, again, not negotiable. You might be able to get a cheaper price at a different auto repair shop, but, that's, of course, entirely up to you. A lot of people do seek to get more than one estimate or more than one opinion, especially if it's a major repair, which I highly recommend. If it's like an engine or, if they tell you need an engine or transmission, definitely you want to get more than one, 2 to 3 at least. At least 3, I'd say. But anyway, excuse me. Anyway, that's where you're going to negotiate. That's where, your budget is where you're going to negotiate how much money you spend. Your budget is where the latte money falls, and where my pop money falls, and my extra expenditures, buying little bags of potato chips at Subway that I don't have to buy. I could buy a big bag. So those are all things, I can negotiate. So that's where you're going to negotiate. I'd say maybe one of the last things that you can negotiate, and I've done that as well, is gas money. Now, no, you can't not put gas in your car. You'll be out and stuck. So no, you can't negotiate that. What you can negotiate is where you travel or how far you travel. If you're in your vehicle and, you know, you want to save money, well, and I've done this. I think I started this when I was on one of my first trips out to South Dakota, and I had never ever done this before. I just had never really, it took me a while to really get into the budget mode where I could really budget, you know, and that's when I started kind of cutting back on what I was doing for Subway. I started running out of money at the end of the month, to be honest with you. And I had to negotiate. I had to start saying, wait a second. I can get a bag of potato chips in Walmart cheaper, eat only the sandwich, drink water. You know, I had to do it, and I did it. The other one was the gas. I said, wait a second. If I stay here, and I think I was in Rapid City, South Dakota, and I said, you know what? If I stay here in Rapid City more, you know, for a few days or a week, and I don't travel very far, and I didn't have to because back then that was pre-COVID, and I could stay in Walmart, and I would just, you know, stay in Walmart and maybe go to the library, and, you know, back then I wasn't doing my videos, so I didn't have that to take up my time, but, you know, I did blog and take pictures. I didn't do a lot of picture taking because, you know, I just stayed in town, but, you know, I realized, wait a second, I can save gas money. You know, I only drove from the Walmart to the library, which everything was really close together within a couple miles. So I didn't use much gas. And, you know, that worked. You know, I saved money. I was able to save money, you know, and then after a while, you know, now back then I wasn't a big fan of staying in one spot for 2-3, you know, more than a day. 2 days 2 days maximum. I mean, I was all over the place. I would go from North Carolina to California, and I'd be there and I'd do it in 5 days, you know. Now on the way back, it was slower, you know, but not slower in the fact that I stayed in one spot. I just went to all these different places, you know. You know, out in California and Arizona, I went to the Grand Canyon. I went to Death Valley National Park. Big Bend National Park in Texas. You know, I just was all over the place, and I did a lot of driving, a lot of it. Not only in my Chevy Impala, but after I got rid of the Impala, you know, after I was rid of that, I did it in my Ford Taurus. So, you know, and that's a whole other story. I'll probably go into that later. I probably do have I don't have the video, but I do have pictures, and I do, you know, I'll probably go into that later. But anyway, right now, eventually I discovered that I didn't have to, you know, I could stay in one spot if I wanted to save money or more money. Instead of staying for only 3 or 4 days in one spot, I would stay a week or maybe even 2 weeks. Sometimes as much as 3 or 4 weeks. There were times when I wanted to save money that I would stay 3 to 4 weeks in one spot. Now, this is all dependent on the area. You know, there were areas where, I know one time I was in Ohio and I was at a Walmart, and I can't remember the Tifton, I think it was in Tifton, Ohio, if I remember correctly. And I was there for not more than about 4 days. And on about the 4th night, police came pecking on the window. You know, you've been here for, you know, more than a couple nights. You know, what's the story? What's your story? What are you doing? You know, when do you plan on going back to North Carolina? When do you plan on going home? And I don't remember what I told him. I told him I had business to take care. I told him I had business to take care of in the area, and it was just about wrapped up. And they were like, okay, you know, and he accepted that. And then the very next morning, and he was okay. He didn't tell me I had to leave. You know, I went to sleep. I went to sleep and slept there all night and got up the next day and did my thing, got ready to, you know, brush my teeth, did my thing. But I left. I definitely left because I knew that, you know, I couldn't do that. I mean, once the cops came around and wanted to know what was going on, you know, I knew to leave. And so, and that happened. It's happened, you know. I know one time in, Ohio, I had a manager come out and ask me what the heck was going on. I'd only been there 3 or 4 days. Same thing. One time in Midland, Michigan, I'll never forget that one. I was there for probably a couple of weeks and 2-3 weeks maybe. You know, I overstayed my welcome a little bit, and someone came out, manager, I guess, or some day person, I don't know. Early in the morning told me I couldn't stay. I had to leave. And anyway, I just moved next to the parking lot next door, a Home Depot, stayed there for a little while, then I left. But usually I can gauge it. You know, once you've been on the road a while, you'll start being able to gauge, you know, when it's time, when you start getting that vibe, you know, that feeling, okay, I should leave. But it depends on the area. I was in a place called Murray, Kentucky one time, and that's been about 4 years ago. And I was actually at that Walmart for almost 2 months. Not straight. I did go to Mayfield, Michigan. Not Mayfield, Michigan. Mayfield, Kentucky. A couple of times, one time for 10 days, one time for 3 or 4. But overall, I stayed in in Murray, Kentucky Walmart parking lot for about almost 2 months. Now, Murray, Kentucky is also a big college town, so I don't know if that made a difference. But anyway, I stayed there for like 2 months. And that's one of the longest ones I stayed. Another one was in Georgia. I actually stayed at a Walmart in Ellijay, Georgia for almost 2 months. So that was a long one. And one time in Oklahoma, I stayed in 3 different areas in Oklahoma, and I stayed there for about 3 or 4 weeks. So I've definitely done it, but those were like the 2 or 3 longest ones. And that's not the norm, you know. I mean, now Walmart is kind of, you know, because, you know, Walmart's no longer 24 hours. So I don't stay at Walmart anymore, but back before COVID, I did. And 3 or 4 weeks that's not really, I mean, you can do it. I mean, I've done it, but it depends on the area. You know, some areas you may only be able to stay 3 or 4 days. Then you might travel 20 miles down the road to the next Walmart or next truck stop. And I have not done this in truck stops, so I don't know. I don't know how truck stops work. My recommendation there kind of is if you try to find an area with several truck stops, maybe several all-night gas stations that are safe and good locations, and just rotate around, rotate out. In fact, I read a blog post about a guy who recommended having 10 different stops. That's pushing it. That is. But anyway, not to get too far off on the whole where to stay and all that, you know, that is one way to also save money instead of traveling every single day. If you want to save money, you know, maybe find a spot, stay for a week, you know, or if you can stay longer, you know, and until you feel like you don't want to stay, or you feel like, or someone tells you can't stay, or usually you don't really want to, if possible, you don't want to wait until someone tells you to leave. You want to leave before that happens, so that if you want to turn around and return in a week or 2 or 3, you can. Anyway, that's another area that you can negotiate. Food, you don't want to negotiate too much on food because you want to eat healthy. I mean, you're in your vehicle. You definitely want to take care of yourself and eat healthy. Anyway, I've been on here for... this video is a little bit longer than I intended it to be. So anyway, again, this was part 8 of the video series I've been doing on after the accident, the aftermath of the tractor-trailer accident that I was in. And I won't put any pictures of my car out there on this video because I've done it in every other video, and I'm not going to do that. If you're just now picking it up, then, you know, you can look at one of the other videos or don't. It doesn't matter. If you're watching, I appreciate it. Anyway, it's getting up close to 40 minutes, and I didn't want to push this video that long. So anyway, this is part 8. Like I said, part 8. And I may come back later, but that'll be a whole new video. Anyway, I have a very kind of a busy day today. There's still stuff to do. It's only been 8 days after the accident, and I am still going at it, still trying to straighten things out. And I did do some stuff today, and I will come back and talk about that and some of the stuff I have to do. Anyway, this is just my 2 cents on, you know, saving money and how to save and being prepared. Because, like I said, you don't want to start the day, you know, you don't want to start saving the day you lose your car to an accident or a breakdown. You want to be prepared and saving well before that. Anyway, if you're watching, thanks for watching, and have a good day.